This is the most chaos I can remember the Lions being under in a while.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, here we go. Another episode, everybody, of Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. Matt Dery with you on a Monday and a new month, December 1st into Tuesday, December 2nd. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcast. Thank you to our everyday listeners. You know who you are out there, our everydayers that watch or listen to the podcast daily. Check us out on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. That includes Locked On Lions on Instagram and also on TikTok. Locked On Lions today brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Tomorrow, Lions Wire's own Jeff Risdon will join the program. Wednesday, we'll do the crossover with Marcus from Locked On Cowboys. And yes, the Lions have a huge game Thursday night. 7-5 Lions, 6-5-1 Cowboys at Ford Field. And I'll tell you this, and I'm going to be very upfront with you right away here as we get into the program. We'll talk about Kerby Joseph. We'll talk about all the rumors out there. Kelvin Sheppard spoke today, said moves are going to be made on defense. We'll get into the playoff picture. I'm going to get into all sorts of stuff today here on Locked On Lions. But let me tell you this as I spill water everywhere. Oh, my goodness. Let me say this. It's very simple. The Lions have to win Thursday. And if the Lions lose Thursday, we're going to have some pretty negative shows coming up. I'm just warning you right now. I am all for this football team. I'm rooting for this team. I want them to go on a run here. Probably need to go 4-1, 3-2 to be in the playoff race. And if they go 4-1 down the stretch here with games against Dallas, the Rams, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Chicago, and they get to 11 wins, that would be pretty impressive with the hole that they've dug themselves into. But if they lose Thursday and lose back-to-back games for the first time since 2022 and struggle once again, and we're seeing this team just not improving, just not cleaning up what they say every week they need to clean up, then I'm not going to say there's going to be hell to pay, but we're going to have to start pointing some fingers here. Because this league and this entire league, not just the NFC, not just the conference, this league is wide open. It's wide open. And this team should be playing better football. And I want to open the show this way. I look up and I see a team that just seems off. The Lions seem discombobulated in so many ways. You know, they knew they were losing their coordinators. And they replaced their defensive coordinator with a damn good one, in my opinion, in Kelvin Sheppard, who I think was ready to go. Offensive coordinator, and I get it. Ben Johnson wanted to hire Johnny Morton. Sean Payton, there were rumors that Denver wanted to hire Johnny Morton. But Ben Johnson is killing it in Chicago. They're calling him the greatest coach to ever. They're getting ready to put up a shirtless statue of him at Soldier Field. And the Lions replaced Ben Johnson with Johnny Morton and then replaced Johnny Morton November 9th and stripped him of his duties. The Lions have not made mistakes like that. Frank Ragnow leaves, and they didn't address the center position in the draft. They maybe thought that the rookie Ratledge could move over, and they tried that for 5 seconds. That didn't work. They moved him to guard. He hasn't been that good. The other day, they announced that Ragnow is coming back, and I get it. They had to announce something about his return on Wednesday because that was the deadline for retired players to be put back on rosters if they unretired. So they had to do something. But how is his physical not taken before Wednesday? And when did he tear his hamstring? A grade 3 hamstring tear or a grade 3 hamstring strain, which is what they called it, is like a tear. he might not play football again. He might not come back again. Dan Campbell was on with the morning show today on 97 on the ticket, Costa and Jansen, and they're like, well, what about next year? Well, we have no idea. We haven't gotten that far. They didn't add any depth on the offensive line. I know they've had injuries. The defensive line, we've talked about this for months now. It's not looking good on the opposite edge of Aidan Hutchinson. Oh, by the way, they have 4 sacks the last 4 games. That's it. After sacking J.J. McCarthy 5 times in their loss to the Vikings. They're making mistakes that they have not been making the previous 2 years, really 3 years. If you go back to the 9-win team in 2022, we saw a lot of things that second half that we really liked. They were crisp. They were sharp. The Lions seem disorganized. The Lions seem discombobulated. Kerby Joseph is about to miss his 6th straight game if he doesn't play this week. Why hasn't he been put on IR? Why are we reading reports and rumors and tweets about Kerby Joseph might be done? Is this knee injury career threatening and ending? He's posting on social media. God help me. Now his Instagram and Twitter are deleted. They can't protect their quarterback. They got guys hurt. They bring guys back. Today, and we're going to get into it, Kelvin Sheppard said we're making more changes. Dan Campbell just keeps saying we got to clean things up. But they haven't cleaned them up. They just don't seem connected, organized. The Ragnow thing was botched. How do you not have the physical done before Wednesday? And what happened between Wednesday and what was it, Friday, Saturday? That he tore his hamstring. These were mistakes this organization has not been making over the past few years. Remember in the preseason how disorganized they looked and how penalty heavy they were? And we said, it's the preseason. What does this mean? None of the regulars are playing. Remember when they had a linebacker returning kicks in the preseason? They're like, oh, Grant Stewart, watch this. We're going to try something crazy. And their kick return game this season hasn't been good. But we went back to the preseason. It's just the preseason. Right? Just these little things that they just don't seem organized. The head coach is having trouble getting the play calls in. They're wasting timeouts. Should he be calling the plays? Are they going to look for a new offensive coordinator next year? That's the kind of crap they did 5 years ago. I got people coming up to me and go, what do you think about David Blau coming back as OC or JT Barrett? I'm like, we're already firing Johnny Morton again? Just like they did with Anthony Lynn? I didn't hear anything like that. But the fact remains, they're not organized. And Thursday night, you got a Dallas team that's coming in off of wins over Philly and Kansas City. It's a gauntlet for them. And if the Lions lose this game, immense trouble. They're already in a little bit of trouble. Dan Campbell admitted it. Was it yesterday? We've dug ourselves a hole. I do think they can dig out of it. They've got to win this week. I think they can win this week. Dallas's offense is good. Lions are going to have to outscore them. They should be able to move the football on this Cowboys team. I know their defense is improved now with the additions that they've made along the interior of that defensive line. Picking up Quinnen Williams, picking up Kenny Clark. I understand. But I watched Philadelphia move the ball on them. I watched Kansas City move the ball on them the last 2 weeks. But I also saw George Pickens make some crazy plays, some really good plays. All right, deep breath. I just think they got to get organized. I think things just haven't been crisp. Remember week right before week 1 when they picked up the two, Wheat and Lacey. Those guys have done nothing. Tyrus Wheat and Tyrone Lacey. I don't even know these. Have they played? Davenport's back. Is he playing, not playing? Is he out there? They got Alim McNeill playing edge rusher. He's not an edge rusher. We're going to see what changes Kelvin Sheppard makes. I'm going to tell you about that coming up next. Much more to do on this Monday edition of the Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. And we told you earlier, Locked On Lions brought to you by our friends at GameTime. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the GameTime app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With GameTime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app, the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. I love the view from your seat. It's the best. Plus, prices include fees up front, which I love. No last minute surprises at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. It's game time. All right, Matt Dery back with you, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network on a Monday, December 1st edition, Lions and Cowboys, Thursday night, 8:20, in what should be a huge game at Ford Field, and maybe, just maybe, a playoff elimination game. We're going to get into the playoff picture in a little bit, but the Lions are desperate in need of this win. Again, they haven't lost 2 games in a row in 3 years. Dallas is dangerous right now with Dak and Pickens and CD Lamb and that crew. So this should be interesting. Thursday night at Ford Field. All right. As far as the injuries go, Kerby Joseph, knee brace and all, was back on the field today at practice for the Lions. Dave Burkett of the Free Press tweeted out a couple of hours ago that he looked pretty good. But there were times he moved around well. After practice in the locker room, Joseph shot down rumors and reports that are out there on social media that he could need surgery and that that maybe his career was over. He said surgery likely not an option. When asked about concern, this from Jeremy Reisman, Pride of Detroit, when asked about concern about the knee injury impacting his career, quote, "Gotta trust in God's plan, put it in God's hands," unquote. Is that like Lane Kiffin saying God told him to go to LSU? All right, I'm going to behave. Asked why he got off social media and why he's deleted his Twitter and Instagram where he had posted earlier in the day, "God help me." Said he got off social media to, quote, "lock in," unquote. Again, Joseph has missed, the last 6 games due to his knee injury. A lot of buzz on social media about his career being over. Joseph denies that. Dan Campbell said he was going to be on the practice field today and that he's getting closer. He was out there today. So Kerby Joseph upgraded to limited practice. Hopefully he can play Thursday night against the Cowboys. Kerby Joseph is a guy that we have not talked about enough with this defense. And look, it was the Tampa Bay game where it was the Legion of Whom. Remember how well that secondary played with Eric Hallett and the no-name guys that were out there, Arthur Mollett, that were out there that day. Nick Whiteside, kids played amazing for one game. Since then, it's been very inconsistent. Minnesota and J.J. McCarthy, who, by the way, got shut out yesterday with the Brosmer kid playing quarterback, they're a mess. How did the Lions lose at home to the Vikings? Brutal. How did the Giants light them up? And we know about this past week where Jordan Love had all day. And Campbell was on the radio this morning just giving Jordan Love a lot of credit about how quickly he got the ball out. But Lions are struggling right now to get to the passer. It's been 4 straight games. 1 sack in each, basically 1 sack in each game. 4 sacks, 4 games. They've got to find a way to get more pressure. They have to. But in that back end, the quarterback of that secondary, the guy at deep safety, a free safety that makes plays, that makes interceptions, that kind of makes the secondary go a little bit, is Kerby Joseph. And so getting him back this week would be great. Did more than just individual work today. And so that's good news. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, Brock Wright, who's going to be out, it sounds like a little while, and Terrion Arnold, who now has a shoulder injury, did not practice today. By the way, Josh Paschal, also another bizarre injury where he was on the non-football injury list, and they said, oh, he'll probably be back in a month. Then it was 2 months. Now his injury evaluation clock is over with his back injury, and he's out for the year. As you heard me say earlier, disorganized and confusing with injuries this year. I know there were a lot of injuries last year, but it seemed like the Lions kind of knew what direction it was going. This has been weird to say the least this year with some of the injuries that they've had and how they've handled them. It just has not been organized. So Glasgow back at practice, Joseph back at practice. That's a good sign. Also from today, defensive coordinator Kelvin Sheppard is not happy, my voice is cracking here, with where this team is going with the pass rush. Sheppard said today, quote, I don't think we've affected the quarterback to play any style these last couple of weeks. I don't care what style we want to play. The guys understand that. And again, that starts with me. I'm not just going to point the finger. You got to win the one-on-one. Yeah, no bleep. Yeah, you've got to win your one-on-ones in this league, but I also got to find ways to try to maximize what we do at our disposal and put these guys in an optimal position to be able to win, give them tools to win. Unquote. Again, 4 sacks the last 4 games, and the D-line is only responsible for 2.5 of those. Sheppard says everything is on the table to fix the problems from personnel changes to schematic alterations. Quote, there's things that we're going to switch up a little bit by personnel and by scheme. But at the end of the day, you're starting to get in November, December, players make plays. Aidan Hutchinson, 7 sacks in his first 8 games, just 1.5 sacks his last 4 games. But you know what? It's not all about Aidan Hutchinson. It's not. By the way, get your Hutch merch. He was shilling it on game day this weekend. Get that Hutch hat. But he needs some help. It's not fair to him that the opposite edge rusher situation has been dog crap. It has. Start of the year, Al-Qadim Muhammad was playing really good football. I haven't heard his name called in weeks. And I know they lost O'Connor to injury, and they've tried other guys. I mentioned Lacey before, but that's been a black hole. It just has. And it's gotten so bad that the other day, to open the game against Green Bay, Alim McNeill was playing left defensive end. It was McNeill, Reeder, Williams, Hutchinson. I love Alim McNeill. I'm an Alim McNeill fan. All right. You watch the tape from this past Thursday. He had a better game than I gave him credit for after the game, especially against the run and interior rush, which he almost got to Jordan Love on that 4th down play at the end of the game. But Alim McNeill lining up as your opposite starting edge rusher? No, he's not an edge rusher. I don't know what they're going to do this week. I don't know if Hassanin is coming off the practice squad or what they're going to do. But Kelvin Sheppard said there's going to be some changes. Good. I don't care what you do. Find a way to win. There's too much talent on this team. And when we get to the playoff picture later, I'm going to give you a stat from our crack research staff that's going to blow your mind about how the Lions can still take over here and go on a run and be in a good position. No one in the AFC or NFC is exactly running away with stuff. The Bears are the 1 seed. Touchdown Bears. Ben Johnson. Build the statue. Oh my God, in Chicago. You know, they were doing a topic this afternoon because I turned it on for a second on AM 1000 on Waddle and Sylvie, Tom Waddle, the former Bear. They were asking him, would you trade Ben Johnson for any coach in the NFL? And they're like, no, he's the best. He's coached 12 games in Chicago. They think he's the best. But guess what? The Lions are a mess. He left. His replacements had play calling duty stripped from him. And he's got the best record in the NFC. So hard to argue, but sorry, I kind of would take Andy Reid over Ben Johnson. Golly gee, sorry. Mike Vrabel, pretty damn good and has done it a lot longer than Ben Johnson. I think I'd take him too. Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. I'm no Sean Payton fan. I think he's a jerk. But let me tell you something. Dude can coach. That game last night was wild, wasn't it? All right, playoff picture discussion coming up next. Monday, Locked On Lions. Jeff Risdon, the original Glasgow hater. I'm just kidding. He was the one that called out Glasgow late last year. Jeff Risdon, Lions Wire tomorrow. All right, everybody, let's talk a little bit about our friends at PrizePicks. Yes, this holiday season is one of the best times for sports. You got bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. You just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. PrizePicks has added an extra layer of excitement to the holiday sports schedule. You just create a lineup in less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. Plus, deposits and withdrawals are quick and easy, which keeps everything flowing. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL. You'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, so the Lions right now are in the hunt. They are not in the playoffs if the season ended today. You look at the NFC North, it's simple. Bears at 9-3, Packers at 8-3-1, Lions at 7-5, and Vikings at 4-8. Your division leaders right now, Chicago is the 1 seed. Rams are the 2 at 9-3. Eagles are the 3 at 8-4. Buccaneers are the 4 seed at 7-5. In the wild card race, you got the Seahawks 5th, 9-3. Packers 6th, 8-3-1. 49ers 7th at 9-4. And yes, the Lions are a game and a half back of San Francisco. 1 back in the loss column. Dallas at 6-5-1, right on the Lions' heels. And how about the Carolina Panthers? Talk about a team playing excellent football. 7-6, winning record, and just knocked off Padford and the Rams this past week. Here's a stat for you. I got this from my friend, our friends, the Crack Research staff. And this is crazy, all right? Think about this for a second. Currently, right now, all right, there are only 2 teams in the NFL in both conferences with 9+ wins this year through 12 games, Bears and Rams. It is the fewest teams with 9+ wins since 2014, when there was just 1. NFL teams right now, how about NFC teams right now, with 10 or more wins through 12 games? 0. None. Last year you had 3. Year before you had 1. Year before that, 2022, you had 2. 2021, you had 1. 2020, you had 1. 2019, you had 3. This year, none. Nobody has 10 wins yet in the NFC. This thing is still there for the taking. But man, we're kicking ourselves right now, even having to have this discussion, because it's wide open. And yes, I get it. There's the prognosticators and experts go on TV. Oh, I love what Seattle is doing. Seattle looks good. They're 9-3. It's 3 teams, by the way, have 9 wins, not 2, 3. Bears, Rams, Seahawks. Do the Seattle Seahawks, though, with Sam Darnold scare you to the point where you're like, oh, no, we can't play them. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They're good, and they whooped on Minnesota this weekend. But Max Brosmer was playing quarterback. Did anybody see his pick 6? Whew, Lordy. The Bears are 9-3. The Lions wiped the floor with the Bears in week 2. I know it's a different Chicago team since then, and they got guys coming back now in their secondary. I get that. Lions still whooped them. Rams 9-3 were very sloppy this week. Eagles, we saw. Lions had a golden opportunity to beat them in their house a couple of weeks ago. Held that offense in check. The Lions have got to get their O-line and D-lines straightened out. But this thing is there. But boy, oh boy, if they lose this week, drop to 7-6, and somehow Carolina wins to get to 8 wins, I think Carolina's on a bye. It's going to be rough. Because you're wasting an unbelievable year from Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jack Campbell is number 1 for Pro Bowl middle linebackers in the fan voting. There's a lot of positives still here. Man, this is a monster game on Thursday. Huge game. We'll talk about Thursday's game with Jeff Risdon tomorrow. Marcus Mosher, Locked On Cowboys, will join us Wednesday. We'll do the Thursday crossover on Wednesday to get you ready for Thursday's game. Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network for a Monday. Have a great rest of your evening, everybody. Stay safe in the morning. The drive is not supposed to be great with the snow coming in. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.